Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, over to you.
Radhe Pallaviji. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to today's session of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Great start. Even I was enjoying those melodious devotional bhajan from Bhakti Shatak. Very nice. So thank you, Gayatri ji, Padmini ji, for a wonderful session like always. So welcome everybody. Today we will move on to the next shloka in the series of shloka that we were discussing. Today we are on 4.25 and I look forward to another engaging session. So let's get started with our opening prayers. I'll share my screen and we'll get started. All good on the screen side?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Okay, we'll get started with our opening prayers then. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Ishwaraha, Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmat Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to everyone. A very warm welcome to today's Daily Wisdom class. So let's get started. We are on 4.25 today. I'm going to recite it and you're welcome to follow along. Daivameva pare yagyam yogina paryupasate Brahmagnava pare yagyam Yagnevopajukvati. All right, do we have any volunteers who want to go with it?
Radhe Radhe Ashutosh ji, please go ahead.
Toshi.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Daivameva pare yagyam yoginah pariyupasate brahmagnava pare yagyam yagyenaiva upajuvati. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Ashutoshi. Radhe Radhe.
Samji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe. Daivameva pare yagnam yogina paryupasate brahmagnava pare yagnam yagnenaivopajukvati. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Samji.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji.
Daivameva pare yagyam yoginah paryupasate brahmagnava pare yagyam yagyenaiva upajuvati. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Sandhya. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Dinesh ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Dinesh ji.
Radhe Radhe. Daivameva pare yagnam yogina paryupasate brahmagnava pare yagnam yagnenaivopajuvati. Radhe Radhe.
Very nice, Dinesh ji. You're reciting after a little bit of a break, I guess, but very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Surendra ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Surendra ji.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu, thank you very much. Daivameva pare yagna yogina paryupasate brahma agnapam pare yagnam yagne vayopora ujjavati. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Surendra ji.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Devam evapre yagyam yogina prupasate brahmagna preyagnam yagnain ende apujavati. Sorry, I can conflict a little bit.
Thank you, Samji. All right, we see a few more hands. I think we can cover all. So let's
Yes.
quickly.
Yeah. Golubji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone, Radhe Radhe. Neva Pore Yaja Daiva Neva Pore Yagyam Yogina Payu Pasate Brahmagna Pare Yagyam Yogina
All right, thank you, Golubji. All right, let's move on.
Rahulji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Rahul.
Radhe Radhe. Devameva pare yagyam yogina paryupasate brahmagnava pare yagyam yagyena vopajuvati.
Very nice, Rahul. Jai Bajrangbali.
Jai Mata Di.
All right.
Ragiji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Devameva pare yagyam yogina paryupasate brahma agnava pare yagyam yagyena vopajuhavati.
Very nice, Pragiji. Wonderful. Down to our last four hands. So let's do that.
Sanginiji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Sanginiji.
Radhe Radhe. Daivamevapare yajnam yoginah paryupasate brahmagnavapare yagyam yagyenaivopajuvati.
Very nice, Sanginiji. Where are you joining us from?
Arkansas.
Right. Okay, I think we spoke before as well, right? You've recited before? Or is the first time you're reciting?
Recited.
Yes.
I have recited before, yes.
Yeah, you have. So you've already gotten the best debut award. I was about to announce that. So I remembered you've spoken before. So very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, last three hands then.
Riyaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Riyaji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Daivam eva pare yagnam yogina paryupasate brahmagnava pare yagnam yagninaivopajuhvati.
Very nice.
Radhe
Radhe Radhe. All right, last two hands then.
Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Devameva pare yagyam yogini paryupasate brahmagneva pare yagyam yagyena vopajuvati. Radhe Radhe.
Shyamji. Radhe Radhe. All right, have we covered everyone?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's get into the translation of this shloka. The words basically, Daivam, the celestial gods, Eva, indeed, Apare, others, Yagnam, sacrifice, Yogina, spiritual practitioners, Paryupasate, worship, Brahma of the supreme truth, Agnau, in the fire, Apare, others, Yagnam, sacrifice, Yagnena, by sacrifice, Eva, indeed, Upajuhvati, offer. Short translation for the shloka goes like, some yogis worship the celestial gods with material offerings unto them. Others worship perfectly, who offer the self as sacrifice in the fire of the supreme truth. So there's a contrast and a distinction that has been clearly called out here. Right? They worship, first of all, the celestial devatas, and that too with material offerings. And the other case, it is said they offer themselves. Our nature is divine, and to the supreme truth, which is divine as well, right? So material things to the material subjects, here divine, something which is divine to the divine subject. Okay? Very clear contrast. However, it is not very evident to us because we have lost or the remembrance, we have forgotten who our true identities, right? We consider ourselves as a body. But let's get started with this shloka, and we'll start off with this, not a story but an analogy to get the thought process going. So let's get started. Yes, Shyamji, question even, or you got a question already?
Sorry, Radhe, just a doubt.
All right.
Can you please explain the meaning again? Explain the meaning again. Second line.
Second line. All right. So
I
others
got it. The
worship
first one. Yeah, please say again. Sorry. Yeah.
Others worship perfectly who offer the self as sacrifice in the fire of the supreme truth. Okay. So you don't have to think hard. Okay, I'll get into that. That is why we have this session. So don't worry about it. We'll get to it. Okay, we'll bring out the difference. So let's get started. Let's start with the jail. Okay, so this guy is in a jail. Apparently, he's not very happy. Okay, if somebody is happy in a jail, then jail is not serving its purpose, right? Bihar jail becomes a very sought after place during winters in Delhi. And the reason for that is that beat cold, people even do petty thefts. At least they will get shelter and some food as well, right? Maybe along with dandas, but they are okay with that. But typically when you are in a jail, it's makes you uncomfortable. Now here's a guy, he's facing life sentence. So basically this is going to be his home for as long as this person lives, right? Whatever that life sentence goes for, maybe 20 years or 40 years, right? Now, let's look at what he's up to. He gets beaten up, as you would expect, up and down, time to time, pretty frequently. And he needs to face punishment and scolding from the prison keepers, other inmates as well, and so on. This whole process continues because all are people who have come, right, and they are serving the punishment. So obviously they are not very hospitable people that he's surrounded with. And then what happens next? And he doesn't get proper food, has to do laborious work even he's very sick. That is how jail work is typically, right? During this, there is hope. So what he does is, he starts building a good rapport with who's who of jail, right? In everywhere, some people, they become who's who. So who's who of jail, he starts building some rapport with them who can make his life comfortable in the jail. He's happy that he's able to get relatively comfortable facilities from those who's of jail from time to time because of his demeanor and, you know, however he has built that rapport with them and with the jail administrators as well. So occasionally he gets good food and other kind of things as well. Now there's a guy who comes here. Okay, if you have not seen that movie, it's a pretty interesting movie. Hollywood movie, Shashank Redemption. Okay, I don't know how many years back I had seen that. It reminds me of that. It's a very interesting movie. One of the best endings. So there's a guy who comes and he tells him that it is possible to get out of this jail. However, he doesn't believe him. And he's quite happy with the intermittent pleasures that he's getting in this jail. And from class C, he's enjoying the luxuries of class A possibly, and he's very happy to stay back there only. So what would you tell this guy? Any suggestions for this guy? Basically, he has an option to get out. Okay, get out of this jail. There's a possibility through jailbreak or otherwise. But he's content to make his life comfortable, and he started enjoying that jail because he knows the who's who of everyone, right? Even in that movie, there was a guy who was serving a sentence and his entire life he had spent in a jail. So when he went out, he committed suicide because he was not able to cope up with, he just didn't know what to do in that world. So he was so comfortable in the jail itself. He got used to that. Yes, real quick. Yes, Meenaji, and let's hear from Meenaji and then Sri Ramya.
Yes, Meenaji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe everyone. So I have not seen the movie, but as per Swamiji and Maharajji's videos and other blogs, what I know from this example is this person who is stuck in the jail, he's thinking, like, basically he was looking for pity happiness of his senses and everything, and he became happy. But the person who called him, I said, like, I'm going to give you an always happiness. He doesn't know there is something higher is waiting for him. He's so ignorant, and he's happy with whatever he's getting with his bodily pleasures and sense enjoyment. So that's what I understood. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful point, Meenaji. Yes, very nice. Yes, Shri Ramyaji, you wanted to add something?
Yes, Radhe Radhe Ramya ji, please go ahead.
Yes, Radhe Radhe. I feel that the fear factor is always there. Like the person might also have the fear that what if he gets caught during the jailbreak, or if the attempt is not successful, then he would be punished to an even greater extent. So instead of that, he would think that to some extent he is comfortable, and let him be more good with those who's who and stay here. So that fear is also one thing which stops people.
Can happen. Yeah, so basically this is an analogy of our life. Okay, first of all, the people who are we, when we say, right, why do bad things happen to good people? Yes, Nitinji, you wanted to add something? Nitin,
Please go ahead, Nitin.
Yes, please go ahead, Nitinji.
Namaskar, thank you, sir. What I think is maybe it may be a story of our life wherein we are very happy with the material things what we get, and somebody who is coming there telling us this is the jail, you have to come out of it, you have to rise above it, and we're not listening to them when it has to be. Only one thing I couldn't understand, earlier he was in C class jail because he is having good rapport with the jail authorities, therefore now he is in A class jail. Is it so?
Yeah,
it is that I couldn't understand.
He got himself transferred to an A-class jail and he's think he has cracked life now. Okay.
Then it is like we are in worldly pleasures, that I was a supervisor before and now I became the manager of the company, and I'm very happy with whatever facilities I'm getting and forgetting who I am myself is. I think that is the message it has to give according to me, sir.
True.
Thank you, sir.
Beautiful, very sad. Yes, it's actually the story of our life, material life. First of all, if we were truly good, we wouldn't be here to begin with. So we are a mixed bag. And for the conditioned souls who have turned their back towards God, this material creation is there. Okay, and this mehfil, the variety of this material creation is immense, infinite. It's pretty vast. Even we don't know about our solar system, and there are so many Brahmans out there. Our Brahmaji is the smallest four-headed Brahma, the least, the Brahmaji with least number of heads. So this material creation, the mehfil, so to say, is pretty vast. And the irony is, our entire endeavor throughout our lives is to make our life comfortable in this jail, okay? As opposed to thinking really about the how do we get rescued from this jail. Okay, that is the ironical part of it, right? And this is what basically, when I'm going to map it to the shloka now, I'll get into that. So our entire endeavor is to make our life comfortable in this jail because we are comfortable in this jail, right? Another analogy I told you about watching a movie. We are so hung up, engrossed in watching this movie and thinking of it as a reality that we don't want to get out of it, right? If somebody puts a light, projector is off, then we will wake up, right? But this movie continues lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So like this guy, we are actually trying to go to material people, material posts, which I'm going to talk about, and ask for material things, right? Shloka told that you offer material things to devatas, who are material posts, by the way. Devatas are not gods, okay? They are called demigods, and we get material results. So our focus is only to get material results, and we are happy with that. Okay. Now let's, yes, Samji, you wanted to add something? Let's continue on this.
Please go ahead, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Samji.
Yeah, just wanted to add, you asked, right, how could we tell him to get out of the jail? In jail, he has to depend on so many members for his comfort, and also he doesn't get any love in return. It's only like bodily comfort.
True.
When you say that you don't have to depend on these many people, you can live freely and you'll get a lot of love, which will be comforting to your heart, then he may consider.
Right. Another corollary, beautiful point. Thank you, Samji. Another corollary of this analogy is When you are in a jail, and now just imagine one person fighting with another person saying, you are a worse criminal than me. What kind of a logic would that be? And that is essentially what happens when we find faults in others. We all have a difference, 19-20 ka farak, because we are all cohabiting and we have been positioned strategically with the same set of people, right? So that means there's a little bit of a difference here and there for sure. We are a mixed bag of virtues and vices. And when we start, looking down upon somebody and having that air of superiority, we lose the big picture part of it. First of all, we are cohabiting in the same jail. And then it's like arguing with another jailmate that, hey, your crime is worse than mine. I at least committed murder. One murder, you did 10 murders, right? So that kind of an argument it is when we start finding faults in people around us. Okay. Another way of looking at it, because we are all in a conditioned state. We are all murak khal kami. None of us have a perfect knowledge. Right? Saints like Tulsidas ji used to say, I am moso kon kutil khalkami, and we think we are a big deal, right? So there's another way of having danya bhav, right? Humility is the foundation of devotion. So in order to practice that, these are the things that we can bring to our mind. Next time we have an air of superiority around us, just to put things in perspective. So we are a mixed bag. That is why we are in a Mrityu Lok, right? And we mix results. That is how it's meant to be. Nobody will ever have a perfect life. It may seem so, but nobody has it. Okay. And irony is that you go to them, they'll think somebody else has it. You go to them, somebody else has it. But actually factually nobody has it. All right, now let's get into the shloka part of it. After this, getting a bit of a thought process going. So we do yajna, sacrifice. Let's look at it. Now, sacrifice or yajna, should be performed. This is what I think in divine consciousness as an offering to the Supreme Lord. This is, however, people, they vary in their understanding and hence perform sacrifice in different manners with dissimilar consciousness. We all are different. We all have our sanskars, we all have our tendencies, and we all have our belief systems. And based on that, even our consciousness is different. And that is how we've been created. So there is a variety in this world with regards to even two twins will never share the fingerprints. Our retina scans are different. Our body order is different. No two people are alike. That is how different we are. And that is why we have different propensities, different tendencies as well. And Vedas, God knew that. God knew that not everybody would be attracted to the cream of the message. So he has created, the Karam Kand aspect of it in Veda that constitutes 80% of it. That, okay, you get started at least. Start bringing in the discipline that is needed in the life. Let me put some traffic lights, vidhi and nishedh, do's and don'ts around the material life. Start following those, and in due course of time, as you keep on rising spiritually, you will start getting attracted to the gist of it. Okay, these are all the stepping stones and means to it. So having said that, what Lord in the shloka it is said that people vary in their understanding and they perform sacrifice in different manners. Right? And what is those kind of sacrifice? Let's look at it. What are those different manners? So if you look at it, these demigods, so people with lesser understanding. Okay. In the previous shloka in chapter 2, Lord Krishna is saying they get attracted towards the rosy, flowery words of Vedas, which tell you do this and you get this. It's very nice, right? You do this. Mannat, we have this concept of Mannat also in India. You mango the Mannat, and then if you don't do that, you better do it. Okay. Devi Devatas do not like it. So this concept is very deeply ingrained in our DNA. And we are hung up in that because all we care about is how to make our life comfortable in this jail. We don't care to get out of this jail. We want to get out of it. Now, why is it a jail? You say, no, it's not a jail. It's a very comfortable place. It is not. If you think deeply about it, at every step, there is a misery. But it is good in a way because, see, when something inflicts pain on us, let's say, for example, there is fire. So what happens? Your hand burns. Your hand burns. So burning of the hand is bad, but the pain is good. Why? Burning is bad because it's bad, right? Why do you want to burn your hand? Why is pain good? Because it tells you I have to take my hand away. right? People who have leprosy, that disease, they lose that sensation. So even if their hand is getting burnt, they will not know that. But the pain is good because it tells you this is not the right place to be in. So all the pains of material world, Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, Adhyatmik, Tridosh, Trita, Panchaklesh, Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, all the stuff that we have to bear, it is actually signaling us this is not the right place for you if you think deeply about this concept. Time and again, Maya will make you realize, it is called a university of hard knocks, by the way, that this is not the right place for you. Okay? That is the job of Maya, being the Sevika of God. However, we still, with our dim intellect, we continue to go to Devi Devatas for material rewards. And we keep on making celestial, to celestial gods and material offerings to them. If somebody sits in Ajitak, you will see near Shani temple, there will be a big queue. Okay, and people are stepping over each other, floating over oil to put more oil. Okay, that is how scared we are of Devi Devatas, right? I used to think Shani Bhagwan is the most coolest Bhagwan. He can freak out anybody just like that. One person sits on Ajitak and then people will throng because Shani Dev's Prakop, right? You can only imagine what can happen. So the fear, it is fear motivated. Two things, fear and greed motivated. We are really not concerned about the big picture part of it. Okay. So that is the first category where it is motivated, where you go to Devi Devatas and ask for things. Let's continue on this. So it can take different manifestations, right? So for example, people do Vedic mantras, recitations. In fact, there is a mantra siddhi also you can do. You go to Himalayas, do mantra siddhi and you will get its effect. People do mantra siddhi as well. Yes, Surendra ji had a question.
राधे राधे। जो मन्नत मांगने के बाद अगर पूरी नहीं की जाती तो वाकई जो सेलेस्टियल गॉड्स हैं वो कुछ नेगेटिव करते हैं हमारे लिए?
पता नहीं, उनके रूल्स कायदे हैं. दैट इज व्हाई इवन आवर स्क्रिप्चर्स टेल अस, इवन जो वैदिक मंत्र हैं and the results that you get out of it, everything has to be performed to the perfection, otherwise it can have a negative effect. And the reason for that is actually the Vedas are dissuading us from doing these practices and go directly to the love of God, because if you do that, you have to do it really perfectly. So I believe if you do that, Devi Devatas have their own protocols and rules to follow. If we get into that, then we have to do it to perfection. I mean, at least that's how I understand, but I can check with Swamiji. Having said that, can they intervene in the law of karma or beat your prarabdha? I have my doubts. I don't think any...
That is the main question. That is the main question.
I don't think anybody has that power. So what happens is, if 50 people will do mannat, right, 5 also come true because of their prarabdha, they will spread the word around, and then people will say, you go to that tree and if you do it 10 times, right, it will happen. And people love to believe, they want to believe such things and do that. You know, when I was...
Or the Pandits make us believe that. The Pandits make us believe.
Sorry?
The Pandits make us believe that.
Yeah, they do that. And that is the unfortunate part of it, right? So yes, you know, when I was in college, we went to Jagannath Puri. As students, we went, so we hardly used to have any money at that point, right? So whatever little money we had, we were traveling with that. And then we went to Jagannath Puri, we went to the temple there, and there was a Pandit who came. He said, in this tree, you can put, you know, however many threads you want, and that many mannats will come true. So I said, wow, I've got a shortcut to success. Okay, so I asked for my machine design. I always fail, pass me, and this and that. Too many things I asked. And maybe I asked for India to win World Cup also. So at least I had 10, 12 list. Okay, I kept on doing it. And then when I ran out of wish list, then I stopped. He said, okay, now 20 rupees for each mannat, and he said, 200 rupees, give me that. I said, I don't have that much of money. He said, untie it. Then I have to, unfortunately, untie everything of it. You prey on your fear and the fact that you go by those things. But can it truly intervene with the law of karma and the prarabdha that God has endowed with, given the fact that they are only the ministers of God? They are not even the president. I seriously have a doubt around that. But mantra siddhi and all is possible, because our scriptures are directly telling you, if you do it this way, like putra kameshthi yag, if you have to become Indra, you have to do this yagya. If you have to become Brahma, that many lifetimes of, all those are laid out in our scriptures. That is possible. However, humanly impossible in Kali Yuga, right? In Satyuga and all, you can do all that stuff. In Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtan. Only gods. That is the only thing we can do. That is the Yuga Dharma. Okay, so it is possible in scriptures. However, it's not a recommended because it's a wild west in that case. Why do you want to get lost in something whose results are temporary anyways? Yeah, Shriyama, you got a question?
Please go ahead, Ramyaji.
Nitinji, I have one doubt. Like in South India and in our side also, we have this very famous puja called Satyanarayan Puja. And Satyanarayan is
Satyanarayan, if they freak you out, okay, it's going to light up the fire, and don't remind me of that. My mom is sitting here as well. Okay, she has made me listen to so many of those kathas, and it will instill fear and send shivers down my spine. Okay, if I miss out a word or do something wrong. Okay, so anyways, go ahead, complete your thought, please.
So in Satyanarayan Vrat Katha and Puja, like it is preceded by Navagraha Puja. Like if Satyanarayan Puja is Vishnu's Puja and Vishnu's form of like Krishna is the supreme personality of God, then why is worship of Navagraha like part of Satyanarayan Puja? This was my doubt.
I don't know. I think Navgraha, it's sun, which is one of the Panchashaktis, but I don't know those rituals, how they got established and what is the gist of it. That is why I'm getting into it. It is endless, and there are scriptures which say, but it is said that when you do these pujas, Desh, Kal, Niyam, Dravya, Mantrocharana, everything just has to be perfect, because even if one of those variables is not correct, you will not get the fruit of it. However, still we have Astha, we go with that. So that's fine. Something is better than nothing. It brings some discipline, at least fear motivated. See, the first step is you start acknowledging God. The second step is you get fearful of God. Okay, I'll be whacked if I don't do this. And then obviously as you advance, you think love for God is the real thing. So anything that gets your mind to God and brings in discipline is good. But I'll not dwell too much into that particular katha aspect of it, good and bad, whether it works or not. But when you are in a path of devotion, you reject all these things and simply focus on developing love for God. Okay, very simplified thought process. So these ritualistic activities, all these things were there to bring in, that kind of a discipline. At least it will take our mind to God. Like Krishna says, yen ken prakaren, whatever way you come, you just come. The rest I will do, right? So anything that gets your mind to God, right? Whether it's driven through fear, whether it is because you face some kind of a material reversal, whether it is like you want something and mannat, and because of that your belief is getting solidified. It's a shaky foundation, because when you will not get what you asked for, you can become nastic. Okay, so it's not a good strategy to have a conditional relationship with God, that I need this. If it happens, God is there. If it doesn't happen, I don't believe in God. Okay, that is not how it's meant to be. God is not a cosmic bellboy that you say, tring, do this, and he'll continue doing that. It doesn't work it that way. And then the cultivation of knowledge is another part of it. Performance of duties. All these aspects are actually meant to take your mind to God. It is a means to an end and nothing more than that. Attaching mind to God and loving God. That is how it is. But when we focus on the first aspect that is Shloka is talking about, what essentially happens is, why we do that? What is the motivation? Material allurements, something we want for ourselves, right? We don't go to God for God. We don't go with that purpose. It is material allurements. I want something, some kind of a thing is there. So this aspect is completely lost, is absent in these kind of activities. Okay, that devotion aspect is completely missing, and you are actually playing in this realm only, and that is basically reaching out to the who's who of jail to try to get your life comfortable while you are here. That is essentially what we are trying to do, that this guy was doing, that the story that we started off with. Okay, now this is the yin. We have to go to the yang aspect of it as well, right? Now at Atma Samarpan, I'm saying at, become English, okay. Atma Samarpan or Atma Huti is the offering of self-sacrifice to the same. So when you offer yourself, okay, what does that mean actually? Now, Atma Huti basically means that in flame of divine love, there is an explosion when you do that, which is called grace. For no true Atma Huti can go ever in vain. Okay, so Atma Huti is like you become selfless. You just offered what is most dear to us. Have you ever thought about it? Our own life. Nothing is more dear to us than our own life. We can put everything at stake, right? Somebody keeps on earning for the entire life. They are so much after position, prestige, money, and everything. Doctor tells them, you've got only 10 days or one month left. If you don't go slow and give up your job and stop all these activities, that person will give up everything. And they will even put the entire bank balance that they so carefully accrued, say, okay, take away as many crores as you want, just make sure I live. So our pran, our own self, is the most dearer to us. Okay? That is how we are wired. And when we can offer that to God, that is called Atmahuti. That is the biggest sacrifice. But then it's a step-by-step process. We need to learn to be selfless. In order for us to learn to be selfless, we need to have a pure antakaran. In order to have a pure antakaran, we need to cleanse our mind. In order to cleanse our mind, we need to work under the expert guidance of a guru. In order to work for the expert guidance of guru, we need to have a sincere intention to find a guru. They are all interrelated. Okay, that will lead us to Atmahuti, which is the most grandest sacrifice. Okay, some examples. I think Samji found it, which pretty interesting. Shabari, right? She waited for, I think, how many, 40 years or so, where Ram Bhagwan actually had to enact that Leela to meet people like Shabari, or the big sages who were waiting for Ram Bhagwan to have that divine, his darshan. So he enacted that entire Leela, 14 years of Vanvas, to come to forest and bless them. And she would every day, she would sweep as if, this could be the day, because her guru had told her, Narayan is going to come, Sakshat Narayan is going to come at your doorstep one day. Every day she would do with the same sentiment, today might be my day, today might be my day. She kept on doing it for, I think, about 40 years or so. So that is, she had offered herself to the feet of God. There's nothing about me at that point, right? It's a very pure stage. And this is called the real sacrifice, not the sacrifice that you do to Devi Devatas, give me this, give me that, mantra siddhi, all that stuff that we talk about. That is not the real sacrifice. And another example of it is the King Bali. Right? When Vaman Avatar happened, right, King Bali had become very powerful and arrogant as well. So in order to put him in place, Vaman Avatar happened. Very little cute boy came in his yagya. Right? And Shukracharya, his guru, he recognized, he said, Vishnu, the Chaliya, the tricker, eternal tricker has come, beware of this guy. But he said, no, King Bali was known for his charity, right? He said, okay, whatever you ask for, I will give you. So Vaman, when he came, he was such a small dwarf avatar when he came. He said, all I need is 3 steps. That's it. And King Bali's daughter, Ratnamala, was there. Okay, when she saw that beautiful, cute baby, she had maternal feeling for him. So she thought, how nice it would be if I have a baby like this. So Vishnu, Bhagwan, he said, Tathastu. And then when he started giving 3 feet, right, in 2 feet, he completed everything for Bali. He became so huge. So he said, where should I put my 3rd feet? Bali said, put it on me. That is also an example of Atmahuti, where he's willing to sacrifice himself. Right? And the moment he did that, Ratnamala, who said, okay, I wish I had this kind of a boy, she said, if I had this kind of a boy, I will poison him. So Bhagavan said, Tathastu, Tathastu for both. And she came when the Krishna avatar happened as Putana. She got both the privileges, maternal boon also she got, where she could feed Krishna, and at the same time, the other boon also was fulfilled, where she said, I would have poisoned him. Both boons were fulfilled in one shot. Okay. But the point here is, the King Bali, he did the Atmahuti there as well. It is the level of sacrifice that is actually the topmost sacrifice. And it happens through surrender. We'll not get into the concept of surrender. Maybe another session, we have gone through it in the past. This is a process. So 6-step process of surrender that we have to practice throughout our lives. And that I'll quickly recap that. The first one is to desire in accordance with the will of God. Second one is not to desire against the will of God. Right? The third one is to have firm faith that God is protecting us. Then attitude of gratitude. Then no sense of proprietorship, that this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And the last one is to surrender the pride of having surrendered. You can't say I'm surrendered now. The day you say that, you are no longer surrendered. So these are the 6 steps that we can practice in our day-to-day life. Right? Somebody asked this question, how can we perform karma yoga basically at our work. So everything can be devotional, right? When you're doing it with the spirit of serving God, that okay, God has endowed me with the ability to program really well, right? You bring your best. People can write code like a poem as well. It will please God that you're putting your skills to such a good use. But what is the motive? Why are you doing it? So that you can earn, you can do seva, you can take care of this body, your family, and so that there are no impediments to your path of doing devotion and sadhana and seva. So your motive becomes something else. So lakshya is something else. This is just, it becomes a means to enable that. Likewise, if you're doing cooking or any activity for that matter, you can actually channelize it towards God, that okay, I'm preparing for God, I have to keep my house clean for God. Everything can be centered around God. Okay. So Atmahuti means where there is nothing self-seeking or self-gratifying that we are looking for. That ahuti or that sacrifice is called the topmost sacrifice, where the subject is divine and the object that you're offering is also yourself. Not material things offered to material thing which will give us material results only. Okay. Now there's another reason for that as well. Okay, that is a very important reason, which is what we are going to have a bit of a discussion today. Now let's say we continue to dwell in category 1 we spoke about, where we keep on offering material things, right? So what happens? Now if you look at this picture here, what is permitted baggage in the afterlife flight is what we are going to discuss here. So we all take a flight, okay, and it's a flight that we don't willfully take. We are forced on that flight, okay, at the end of our term basically. And like in a flight, they typically scan you and don't allow you certain things, and same thing happens when we have to shed this gross body. Okay, there are things that we cannot take along. As you can see in this picture, it illustrates it beautifully, right? There is a Sufi saint saying as well, इस दुनिया में क्या कमाए क्या हीरे क्या मोती, बट क्या करें दोस्तों कफन में जेब नहीं होती. So you can do all that you want in this world, but then eventually you just have to leave it. Okay, you'll be forced to leave it, and you can't take it along with you. Yeah, Pallavi, you wanted to say something? So, couple of hands.
There is a question from Sandhya ji. That was in context with what you were, that slide was there, Nitinji. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
What?
So the question is about why is there at all any happiness in the material world, even though it is temporary? Why it is at all there?
So, why is it? Have you heard that story of Kathopanishad that I had spoken about? There was a guy going in a jungle. So when he was going in a jungle, it was getting dark. So when he was walking through that jungle, there were some animals who started chasing him. So he saw those wild animals, ferocious animals chasing him. So he turned on the other side. And on the other side, there was an old witch who was saying, okay, come, I'm waiting for you. He said, okay, animals on one side, witch on the other side. He took a third direction. When he took a third direction, there was a bale, right? You know that, what do you call that basically in English? I don't know, that something lying down from a tree, right? And he started running and he got entangled in that, and he was upside down in that bale, right? He got hung up on the tree upside down. So that's not the end of the story. When he got upside down below, he can see a snake waiting for him. Okay, that come, I'm waiting for you and I'll bite you. Then he looks upwards. There is a black and a white rat, mouse, they come and they start nibbling that branch through which he's hanging upside down. They start nibbling it, basically pushing him towards that snake. And in that situation, there are a lot of flies. These bees come and start biting him on his face. And in middle of all of this thing, there was a bee nest, beehive. A bit of a honey was falling on his face and he was enjoying it. Now, if looking at the predicament of this guy, what do you think? Is that happiness? Is he enjoying? You can call it happiness. If you ask this guy, yes, he was enjoying, relishing. That is what material happiness is, what you're talking about. Truly speaking, we have not tasted happiness at all. It's like in Nyaya Darshan, it is called Hoop Manduk Nyaya. We have not, because we don't know anything better. It is said this is the agitated state of mind that we consider as happiness. So when you see people drinking and dancing, are they happy? Actually, it is an agitated state of mind that they think of as happiness. True happiness, abhas, you will start feeling when you start advancing spiritually. In fact, I'll tell you, you can note it down. It's a very interesting thing I heard from Swamiji once. There was a little guy who said, Swamiji, you say there is no happiness in this world. I play video games, okay, and I go out with my friends, but I feel happy. It was such a beautiful, profound reply Swamiji he gave. He said, right now you are young and pure, okay? That is why you derive happiness from it and you feel happy. You see, kids are generally happy. No baggage, nothing. They're happy, and they're happy actually, generally happy. You can't say they're not happy. They're pure also, and that is the reason. But as you grow up, you will need satsang to stay happy. Just think about it. When you grow up and you don't add satsang, sadhana and seva, 3S, I would say, you can never be happy. Take it for granted. You will have agitated mind, you will have problems, you'll have mid-age crisis, you will have too many problems. You cannot stay happy. It's just like a law of inflation. You have 100 rupees. Next year, it becomes 95. Then it becomes 90. Inflation is beating it. Similarly, life will wear you down if you don't add spiritual dimension to it. So truly speaking, there is no happiness here. Which we think is happiness is not there. And you may think, no, I know one of my friends, she's very happy. That is again your illusion. Okay, if you go to ask her friend, you will say, I'm kind of, but I know somebody who's happy. So this is just an illusion. There's no real happiness. Agitation of mind is considered as happiness. True joy, happiness, you can start experiencing it when you start progressing in devotion. You do more satsang, you do sadhana, you do seva. These are the things which will give you the abhas of happiness, joy, peace, bliss that we talk about. Other than that, absolutely nothing. And if somebody says, no, I have found happiness in this world, they should be given an award of honor because they have proved the scriptures wrong. Okay, not possible. They're just kidding. They just need to have a better awareness about themselves. That's all it is. Okay, so that hopefully, Sandhya ji, I didn't confuse you and I answered a bit of it.
It was a great clarification. Very beautiful reply. Thank you, Nitin.
So yeah, I can see a few hands. We'll get to that, but I wanted to pose this question. So what happens? I was talking about the baggage part of it, right? Now my question is, and we can take some more questions. What is allowed in our afterlife flight? How do we get reset? Do we get reset after we shed our gross body? Okay, these are the questions I wanted to take. It's important to know what is it that we can carry in our bag. There is something we can carry actually. Okay, few things are allowed in the flight, few things are not allowed. We have spoken about what you cannot take. We'll talk about what you can take. Let's take a few hands and then we'll get into this discussion.
Yes, Swati ji. Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
The material things are not allowed. So we only can take our spiritual bank balance with us. Like our love for God, whatever you have purified your heart or wherever you have stopped in your life, in your spiritual path, that will be continuing in the next life, because God says whatever we have done in our back life, that He will provide us in the next life. Like we are making our future by doing present karma. So our destiny is in our hand. What we want to be in the next, we can decide by doing our karmas right now. So I think this spiritual balance will be carried forward. Only that is allowed.
Very true.
Thank you.
Beautiful. That is the real wealth. By the way, I told you the Kathopanishad story, but I did not give you the complete analogy. I know it, I'm realizing. So when this guy is going to the jungle, the animals are diseases. They are waiting to catch you. Can anybody say they don't have any disease or they will never have? Nobody can. Okay. So those are diseases. The witch is the old age. Old age is saying, come, 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 embrace me. Right? Like there's a saying in Hindi, jo जाकर ना आए वो जवानी और जो आकर ना जाए वो बुढ़ापा. So everybody's old age is saying come, come, come every year, and people are celebrating. Okay, milestone birthday, this and that. Actually, we are getting older by the day. The third thing was that snake is our final destination because it's going to bite us, and those mouse, black and white, are day and night, which are gradually pushing us towards that snake. Okay. And those B's are our kamanas, desires which are troubling us. I need that job. I need this in life. I need the next best thing in my life. Okay, those are our kamanas which are troubling us. And in the midst of all that, that small drop, a little bit of agitation that we get here and there, we think that happiness is good enough for me to, continue here forever in this jail. So that was the analogy Kathopanishad gives. It's a beautiful story. Okay, so I'm glad I.
Yeah, Asha ji said that awesome, very beautiful explanation, Nitin ji.
Yeah. So it is not really, that is our situation and we are enjoying. Okay. So if you think, we'll say this guy is insane. So if that guy is insane, that we are also insane. Okay. It's a story of our life. Yes. Now let's hear from a few hands. You wanted to make a few announcements before we continue? Because
Yes.
it's a very important topic, because I'm going to bring in another analogy. Okay.
Yes, I can make a couple of announcements.
Yeah, you can make announcements and then we'll cover that, because I'm yet to cover one aspect which is very, very important, which will break a lot of myths in your head. Okay, that only Maharaj can make it happen. So I love this analogy. I'm going to bring it. So you can make the announcements now.
I can share my screen.
Sure.
Or it's okay. It will.
You can share. I'll stop share, but you can grab screen regardless.
Are you able to see my announcement? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So first, there are a lot of upcoming events, exciting upcoming events. So first is about Janmashtami festival at Radhakrishna Temple in Dallas, and that is going to be. It's like Janmashtami Mahotsav from August 6th through August 19th. And there's a lot of special exhibition, Krishna Leela, and cultural shows. There's a lot, very, very exciting event. So please stay tuned for this. The next one is about a spiritual retreats with Swamiji. Which is on Labor Day weekend, in Dallas, from September 3rd through September 5th. And this is going to be like another exciting retreat in Dallas. The other one is from July 29th to 31st, which is in West Coast. And there is another spiritual retreat from September 3rd through 5th. That is in Radisson, Texas. So that is, I think it's 2 times the same retreat I talked about. The third is Sundarkand Path by Atul Purohit and group. That is going to be from July 31st, 5 p.m. onwards, and that is in Radhakrishna Temple. So stay tuned for this. This is again going to be exciting event. And then there are
Sundarkand, you said, I think he's a very well-known personality. I've heard that when he performs, there's not even a, it's just jam-packed. Okay, the Garba and all that stuff that he does. Do check it out. And do come to temple. Bring your friends and family around as well, because he's a really well-known name is what I'm hearing. So
I had just one question, Nitinji, that Sundarkand part will be completed in one day only?
This is a right question to a wrong person, Pallaviji. I don't know. I think probably.
Because I was
you can check
PM onwards, so I wanted to understand that. Will that be?
Kriti would be a right person, I guess, to answer that, because I won't know that.
Yeah, thanks. So, and
it will be completed. They will not leave it open, right? So I think it will be completed.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Swamiji's retreat is coming up. Dallas, 25th July is the early bird. And more importantly, there's an LTP program that is going to start 20th. Check it out, August to 25th, I believe, or 20th to 24th, something like that. Check it out.
Yeah, life transformation program in Dallas.
Janmashtami celebration. These are the 3 big events that we have coming up. Yes. So check it out online. And if you are around the temple area, do come up. We are going to have leelas, exhibition, lot of things are planned, right? So, and it will be at a very grand scale for sure, like RKT does always. All right. So
yes, there are more information about all online classes for for adults, children, youth, and high schoolers. Please check it out. That is in jkyog.org online/online classes. I'm going to post all these links in the chat.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pallaviji. And please fill out the feedback tracker as well. If you have any questions, I can bring it up. Tomorrow we'll do a short quiz on the concept of Guru, how well you have understood. We'll see, we'll experiment around with how that goes, and maybe we can make it a more permanent feature during our sessions to do, quizzes from time to time. Okay, so what is allowed in our afterlife? So somebody said spiritual wealth, very beautifully explained. So let's take a few more hands, and then let me bring this concept to get the discussion going, and then I can take these hands. One question was, yes, Shari, go ahead, Pallavi.
Yes, yeah, no worries.
Okay, so here you have Ganges. Okay, in India, there's a tradition, right? When somebody is about to depart, the Ganga Jal is poured in their mouth, and then they call Bhagavad Gita expert Panditji and say 18th chapter. And sometimes even the last shloka of 18th chapter, something should get into the ear. And then they will bring a cow also, right? And say, do the Gaudan, all that stuff happens, right? So let's understand these rituals. Do they really add value or not? So Ganga Jal, we'll talk about it. In fact, in our scriptures, it is said when you take bath in Ganga, it will cleanse you, it will purify you. And this question was posed to Maharajji in Prayag, that we take that every day. Why is it that we have not become Bhagavad Prapt? Okay. And he resolved it with a very beautiful analogy. Okay, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So this Ganges is here. You take a bottle. Okay. Now this bottle, you put some polluted water. He said put urine or something like that, and then you cork it and then put it in Ganga for a long time. Okay, submerged in Ganga. Keep it there for 10 days. Okay, it is taking bath not just once, 10 days. It's inside Ganga. You take it out and say uncork it and drink it. Has anything changed in the content of this bottle?
No.
No, right? So this content is what is our mind. If we have not uncorked it with the guidance from Guru, how do we don't know the procedure for that, and truly mixed it with divine knowledge, or with it is truly, then the water will remain water. Whatever was there in that, the contents have not changed. It has not become Ganges. And this bottle of water, your mind, it does not get reset lifetime after lifetime. So if you have certain tendencies, you have too much of tension in life, too much of worry, too much of neural channels we have formed about worrying about everything in life, right? Too much of negativity, too much of doubtful nature, too much of skepticism, too much of pessimism, right? Too much of overthinking about, that worrying about the world. All these things are not going to change. Whenever we get a human birth, we will be endowed with the same mind. So it is even more, beneficial for us to work on our minds so that whatever homework we have to anyway do in one day is reduced. The least we can do is add more homework to our mind, because our mind does not get reset like computer. You do a reboot and done. So our hard reboot is what? Changing these bodies, which is called death. And whenever we become human, even if we become, let's say, back-to-back human, we are still born with the same tendencies. It's not that your mind has automatically become clear or pure to begin with. Same tendencies you will repeat with. Yes, they will manifest in your adulthood or whenever God has designed it that way. Kids don't worry, right? So it will happen in due course of time, but you will be repeated with the same mind. So if there is something that we get troubled with from our mind, right? It's like my mind thinks so much and I get headache and all that stuff. It's better to work on it and get it sorted out now, because it's not going away anywhere. That is what scriptures tell us. It's just not going away anywhere. And more assets you build, like, you're saying that the real asset is the spiritual wealth, that becomes a permanent thing. Whatever cleaning you have done up, whatever proportion of Ganga Jal you have poured in that bottle, you retain that. You build from that point onwards. Okay, now let's take few hands to add something to what we have spoken, or any questions that you may have on this.
Yes, Manoranjan ji. Radhe Radhe, please
One
go
more
ahead.
thing I wanted to add. So if we are simply limiting ourselves to that worship of going after material things, offering material things for material things, those sanskars will remain in your head, and you would retain that even in your next lifetime. So it's better to start progressing towards Atmahuti as opposed to the celestial worship for material gains, because those sanskars are not going to go anywhere. And it will deepen your conviction that in this jailhouse, moving to C class to A class is my goal in life. If I can make it happen, I'm happy here. So it's not taking us closer to our goal. That's another flip side of the first way of approaching God. So that is another aspect of it. It will become that bottled water for you, those sanskars, and which you'll have to deal with or live with forever until you start working on it. Okay, now I'll open it up. Sorry about that. I've taken a lot more time, so please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead, Manoranjan ji.
Yes, Manoranjan.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, Namaskaram to all of you. Namaskaram to Nitin ji. Indeed, very delightful discussions. I was listening to the discussions. Thank you for that. I have I want to make a statement and then I have a question. The statement is first, there is a statement to the question, the first question which you have posed. So Sant Kabir says that कबीरा सो धन संचिए जो आगे को होए, शीश चढ़ाए गांठरी देखा न जात कोई, कबीरा देखा न जात कोई. Kabir says that just accumulate those things which you can take with yourself. So nobody has seen a person who has a bundle in his head and is boarding a flight of afterlife.
Yes, very
right?
true.
So what is that we can take with us? So these are there are two things which we can take with us. One is our gunas and our dosas. Both will go with us. Okay. So let us understand we have two bundles. So one is gunas and dosas. So it is upon us. Okay. So gunas will help us and dosas will make us downtrodden. So we have to decide that which bundle we have to make it heavier. If our gunas are heavier, that will help us in our next life. If our dosas are greater, then it will lead to our punishment. Now, to the second question, which you said that do we get reset? See, we have a machine actually. We have a machine and the switch of the machines, like it says in Gita, Jantra Rudhani Maya. We are a yantra of Maya. Okay, and God is the driver inside. Okay, so whatever, if it has to be reset, whatever switches is, all the controls are with the Almighty, the Creator. We don't have any switch upon ourselves, and it never gets reset. Okay, so it is having its consequences. Now I have a question to that. My question is that during the discussion you said that when we do ritualistic practices, it has to be perfect, otherwise it should not be done. If it has to be at all, it has to be done, it should be in perfection, otherwise it should not have been done. And but my question is that in our tradition actually we have many festivals. If you see the year all around, we have festivals dedicated to each and every god. We celebrate Makar Sankranti, we celebrate Ganesh Utsav, we celebrate Kartik Utsav, we celebrate Durga Puja. Okay, and there are many rituals which are followed. There is one ritual, is the biggest ritual known as Bello Varani. You might be knowing, when we do Durga Puja, we do Bello Varani. We go in a procession, we see a Belva tree. Then in that Belva tree, we used to find two Belvas side by side, and that is brought. That is known as Bilva Varani. That means we are welcoming Mother Goddess and Lord Shiva, right? So are you saying that we should stop doing all these rituals, these practices?
No.
And okay,
I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to tell is the Vedic siddhis and all that stuff that it talks about. There is a desh, kal, niyam, dravya rule. Okay. So those kind of things require proper thing. Obviously, I'm not saying don't do. I mean, who am I to suggest that? I'm just talking about the scriptural aspect of it. Like, for example, when Kumbhakaran was doing, Bhakti of Brahma, he was doing Bhakti of Brahma to get some powers, right? Brahmaji gives boons. So when he was doing, Indra became very insecure. So he thought that he's going to ask for Indrasan. So when he was about to ask for a boon, Brahmaji came in front of him. He told Saraswati to go and sit on his tongue. So instead of her saying Indrasan, he said Nindrasan. And he said Tathastu. And you know what happened. So point being, let's not get too hung up into, okay, we should not set him. Nobody's saying that. Obviously, we need to do that. Okay, that keeps our traditions, religion alive. What I'm saying is when we go after siddhis and scriptures for certain things, right? If you are doing Putra Kameshti, Ashwamedh Yagya, I'm talking about those level of things, not our regular festivals. They have to be done as per the vidhi. If you don't do it per vidhi, you'll not get this effect. So that's where we'll leave it. Okay, next one.
I see a couple of new names.
Sure.
Sairamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Sairamji.
Hello, are you able to hear me? Radhe Radhe.
Yes.
Sairamji, Radhe Radhe.
Okay. Sir, I had one question related to that Mahuti in the previous slide. If Mahabali already did Atmahuti in front of Lord Vamana, then in order to fulfill Mahabali's desire to be a ruler of all three worlds, Vamana said he will first give him the ability or the blessing to be Indra in the next Manvantara. But wouldn't it be better for Mahabali to be in Vaikuntha or Golok now that he's already done
I think
Atmahuti?
Was it truly Atmahuti or was it with a material consciousness? We don't know, right? It was not that he started off with that. When he started off, his intent was to give him three yard worth of thing, right? So that may not be an appropriate example for Atmahuti. It was just like, okay, he offered himself. But God gives you the boon or the merit based on what you are ready for. So maybe he had not reached that level of surrender as yet to get a material boon. That's a very valid question. But because God gave him a material boon, Indra or whatever, if that is temporary, that means he would have not probably reached that level of surrender that is needed to get his own abode. That's the only plausible explanation for this. So maybe it was not a perfect Atmahuti at that point. It might have been tainted with certain desire, or he was not at that level. But great question, Sairamji. Thank you so much.
Annapurna ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yes, Annapurna ji.
I was just reminded of Babrisan, who gave his head to Krishna. I think that is completely Atma Samarpana, right? I was thinking of him. You were mentioning about Shabari, Bali, and his really, Atma Samarpana. I think without thinking again, he gave his head. Because Krishna didn't want him to participate in the war because he has to have the control of it, Krishna, because he is so powerful and all these things. I think he requested him. I think that is Atmahuti.
Beautiful example. Beautiful example.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to mention.
Thank you for bringing that, Annapurna ji. Ghatu Sham, there's a temple in Rajasthan for Babrisan, where he actually witnessed the entire war. Krishna had put him there, and when he was asked, what did you see? He said, I could only see Krishna fighting Krishna and Krishna doing everything there. So yeah, that was Atmahuti because he just chopped his head off and gave it to Krishna. Didn't even bat an eyelid when Krishna asked for it. So very few souls who have perfected their devotion can actually make God eternally indebted to them, and he was one of them. Very nice example.
And also everywhere he could see Krishna. That means his whole world had become Krishnamaya, Whatever you had to accomplish, he had accomplished that, He said, all I can see is Krishna doing everything, He didn't see Arjuna doing anything. He could see Krishna's hand. That shows that he has achieved the highest stage, perhaps. Even born in a hidden, Rakshasa's family, that's really very admirable.
Yes. Beautiful point, Annapurna ji. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Annapurna ji.
Remaining hands.
Radhe Radhe, Rahul. Rahulji, please go ahead. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe. So I think we have the concept of gross body, subtle body, and casual body. So
Causal.
yeah, sorry.
It's not casual, it's very special, but it's called causal, and we will get into that. It's a very technical stuff that you brought in today. We will talk about that topic, the causal body, the subtle body. But yes, you are right. We are carrying two things, so you can explain that. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so subtle and the other one you mentioned.
Casual body, yeah. Go ahead.
And the other thing I wanted to add on about the question of Sandhya ji, if there is happiness in this world, then everybody should feel the same happiness, and then it should be everlasting. That is the real definition, actually. Yeah, because here it is pratishan, it is like decreasing.
Pramanam.
Yeah, law of diminishing utility. So
beautiful. True, it's our perception to that object that gives us happiness, right? If there was true happiness in this world, the same object would give the same happiness to everybody, right? The same house is giving happiness to somebody. It might be making somebody envious, and third person might be neutral to that. So that means there's no happiness in the object itself. How you relate to it, it's your inner world. How you associate to it brings out those fleeting feelings of happiness, and it decreases over time, diminishing, law of diminishing returns, as they say, right? And that happiness cannot be sustained. Even let's say you meet your nearest and dearest one, you've been just waiting to meet that person, you'll go and just hug that person, right? And after 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you say, okay, leave me now. So why leave me? You were just itching to meet me. Now you want to leave them because that will give you happiness, right? That is how the law of happiness works in this world. Okay, few more hands. Let's take
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Ashutosh ji. Which Bhakti Shatak you are bringing in today?
Actually, when Sandhya ji was asking that question, then I remember the Doha.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
जग मह सुख दुख दो नहीं, असुर धर ले ध्यान, राधे राधे। सुख माने दुख मिलत है, सुख न जगत महमान, राधे राधे। जय राधे कृष्ण राधे राधे, राधे कृष्ण राधे।
Beautiful. Thank you, Ashutosh ji. All right, there's another spiritual law. Thank you. Beautiful. Very nicely recited, Ashutosh ji. By the way, you can note it down. There's another spiritual law, Akartenium. The thing you think in this material world is going to give you happiness will be the cause of misery in long run. Okay, it's a very deep statement, but think about it. It will eventually give you misery. Okay. So be very careful where you are putting your hopes of happiness in this material world. Eventually it will lead to misery and discontent and unhappiness. It's an akartenium of this creation.
Wow.
And there could be multiple reasons for that. Okay, let's move on.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji.
Radhe Radhe. This was okay. So what is allowed? I think two things I feel can be carried in the baggage of flight after death is
other than
our
casual body. Other than the casual body.
Casual, causal, but yeah, one is our spiritual earnings, of course, and the other is the relationship. If we manage to build a relationship with our guru, that will also continue to be there with us afterwards.
Beautiful. Very true. Yes, Guru and God are our true sambandhis, which will, once they hold your hand, even if you say, okay, leave me now, they will not leave you, okay, once you have established that relationship. And we carry forward, like Rahul said, our causal body as well as our subtle body along with it. Okay, that is the backpack of our soul. So we have gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Gross body remains here. It's made up of Pancha Mahabhut. The subtle body, which is our machinery, sanskars, man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, right? That carries with our soul. And that is why I said our mind gets repeated there. And the causal body is the Karan Sharir, which based on our karma will dictate which body, gross body we get. It could be a monkey, it could be a chimpanzee, it could be a donkey, it could be a polar bear, it could be anything, and it could be human as well. So that is causal body, which we carry with us, Karan Sharir. Very nice. We'll get into the technicalities of these bodies, the spiritual anatomy, in one of the sessions. It's important.
Meenakshi ji has mentioned we carry our sanskar after life in chat.
Yes, we do carry. It's stored in our chitta part of it, right? Man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. They all encompass this subtle machinery that we have. So we carry all of this. So the idea should be to get that, Krishna into the mix so that he steals our chit. Then our job is done. Other than that, chit will also accompany us lifetime after lifetime. Okay, let's quickly take. I know we are running over.
Kumarji, Radhe Radhe, thank you for.
Not there.
Yes, Kumarji.
Radhe Radhe, Kumarji, please go ahead.
Kumarji.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah, just want to check on that Sundarkand. Will it be live cast?
Pallavi will.
Yeah, I saw your message, Kumarji, about that whether Sundarkand will be online or not. I will double check and I can definitely get back on that.
Okay, thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Kumarji. Radhe Radhe.
Padmaji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe.
Thank you for waiting.
Radhe Radhe. Three things. I'll try to attempt Sandhya this question. Why is there material happiness? If 1 sec. Okay, 2 minutes, Kana, 2 minutes. Physiologically also, when we think about this, right, our perception of happiness is actually happening in our mind, that we are happy, and the impressions of happiness that we get from the things that we do, it's a perception of that happiness. And when we contemplate upon this particular aspect, whether spiritually or scientifically or otherwise, also when we contemplate on that enough, that our perception of happiness is actually happening in our mind, and somewhere you will slowly like detach. I don't know how to present this, but it's something that you can experience, where you are able to detach once you contemplate on this knowledge enough, where you're able to detach the real bliss that you actually get when you are in bhakti, or when you're thinking about God, when you're serving God, when you're serving Guru. Like, there is that kind of bliss that you get is actually a different kind of a different level of experience than the perception of the experience or the happiness that you're getting from the material things. So you would able to differentiate, at least to a subtle extent, where you would see the difference between the perception of happiness which is happening in your mind and the true bliss and the happiness that happens within yourself when you're actually in bhakti or in devotion aspect. The other thing that I wanted to say was, what is that we can carry, the extent that I think we surrender to the God, and the extent that we are detached in the material world, whatever that ratio is, I think that gets carried over to the next life. And the extent that we are able to understand the divine love, and the extent that we purify our heart and our mind, those things, I think, we can surely, God would grace us to take those nice, good balances, spiritual balances, to the next life. In rituals, at least being as a mother, I can say that even though I might not understand all the mantras, or I might not understand every ritual that has to be done properly, I just put it in place for myself, just so that mechanical process eventually becomes a spiritual process. But at least, they're trained to actually at least connect with God with mechanically, and once they grow, they can understand the knowledge, they can accept the knowledge, and they can contemplate on the knowledge and put the pieces together as they grow and they develop.
True. Yes, it's at least a simulation which is, leading us to, hopefully will lead us to higher principles, and definitely brings in discipline, right? And helps us carry forward the tradition as well. So great point, Padmaji. Thank you so much for that. So Shyamji's birthday is going to come after Janmashtami, and he's very happy. I'm not going to disclose which birthday, but Thank you for sharing that. It's a very nice coincidence, Shyamji. So we'll probably have a session and wish you as well on 21st August. Good to know. And so it's going to be right around the Janmashtami time. Great. And yes, Lakshmiji, and I got a lot of messages. I hardly get a chance to read the messages. I was reading in between. A lot of people have actually said, what do we take along with us? Chetan said, we are taking our karma along with it. Yes, the karma phal, right? The prarabdha, we are going to continue with that, the result that is. So that is there as well. Yeah, there are baggage that we have to take along with us. Beautiful points. Okay, couple of hands. We can
Yeah. Venkatji has also mentioned only spiritual progress or bhakti will be carried forward.
True, nothing else.
Yeah.
Everything remains here. And if you think really deeply about it, if you have cut a corner, in your mind for something, we have so many shackles in our mind. So if you cut a chain, it is very liberating. You'll feel good about it. And Krishna's mercy is that he's going to make sure you don't get entangled again. Okay, so he will preserve your spiritual merit as you go along. Otherwise, if we have to start from ground zero every time, then it'll take just a lot of time. He's going to preserve it. So anything that is a freedom of mind that you have started enjoying in this lifetime, it is a permanent asset. That is a very, very refreshing thought if you think about it. All right, 2 more hands,
Yes.
real quick.
Urvi, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Urviji.
Thank you for the correction, Urvi. I said Khatu Sham. So now I will say Khatu Sham from now on. Okay, its name is Khatu Sham, not Khatu Sham, Babri sir. Okay, thank you for the correction, Urvi.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
So, like everyone was discussing about like what he'll carry after this life. So yes, obviously everyone's mentioned about the karmas and you carry a mind and what matters is spiritual wealth that you carry. But this discussion reminded me of 2 things which are like one is a line from a bhajan of Tulsi Dasji, I guess, but I've heard it from Marathi, but I don't know actually whose bhajan it is. So it's like Antam tohi tajenge paman tu na taje abahite man pachatai hai avasara bite. So this is one of my favorite lines, and one is man ek din aisa aayega जिनको कहत सपूत तिनहि से अंत बास से रखाएगा. और मतलब that bhajan, it's just phenomenal. It says like jori jori bhala dharahu karoran ant kafan san paega. So these are one of my favorite bhajans. I just wanted to mention that.
It's very, very nice to see, Urvi, at such a young age, you are able to appreciate the depth of these bhajans. And Maharajji's bhajans are like phenomenal. And I think your audio was going a little on and off. But I think you won one Avsar Bityo Jat, that was one, and the other one was Man Ik Din Aisa Aayega. Right? So check it out if you have it. I mean, these are like bhajans you can simply tune in, contemplate, and based on the mood you are in, what you want to practice that day. You want to practice Madhurya Bhav? Sure. You want to practice Vairagya? Sure. You want to practice Dainya Bhav? Sure. You want to practice the Tattva Gyan, reality of life? Sure. Every kind of bhajan is there. You just have to tune in and immerse yourself in that. Very, 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 very powerful bhajans. Thank you for sharing that, Urvi. Wonderful.
Thank you, Urvi.
All right. Last, not the least, Keshav.
Keshavji, Radhe Radhe, please.
We can wrap up our today's
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Keshavji.
Nitinji, you are doing awesome. Today I heard you from the beginning. Now coming to that bottle you mentioned, like Kripaluji Maharaj mentioned, putting it in Ganga and still it will be dirty water.
Your voice
Water in the bottle. Okay, coming back to the voice is clear now?
Yes,
it's coming. Okay, coming back to that bottle. Here the bottle means, from my perspective, it's my intellect, buddhi. Buddhi mein jitna bhi main like bad or good karmas will go at the time of death. But if at that time bad karma pops up, then I'll go to hell. If good karma pops up, then it will take me to heaven. But my clarity from that bottle perspective is, in this intellect, I have to get rid of all the intelligent things I have done, put wisdom in this intellect. Wisdom is the Krishna's Gita teachings. So if that is going in, then like good or bad things will automatically, bad knowledge will automatically go out. For example, if we
Your voice
put
again,
in the
voice.
bottle acid will throw the water out. But water we put in the acid will not go out. Likewise, this wisdom knowledge will throw out the worldly knowledge, and it will take to back to Param Dham.
Beautiful.
I think if voice is clear. And one more aspect I wanted to add was that, like in this world, we have some better things. Like it's like one man put the one line, say like 1 foot long, and the teacher said, make it shorter, but without touching this. So he put another bigger line next to that, then that became shorter. Likewise, in this world, we get little benefits, little things. Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful point. Very true. So this bliss, supposed bliss that we feel in this world will dwarf, diminish, and seem insipid in front of the joy, bliss that you experience on the other side as you start experiencing more and more of it. And how do you do that? By enabling those 3 S. What are those 3 S? Spirituality. Under spirituality is also S, by the way. So seva, sadhana, and
Satsang.
Satsang. These 3 C, S, 3 S's. And S for Sandhya is also giving a smile on that. Very nice. Great. Or S for Shyamji is going to have the last word for today. S for Shifali is also laughing. So, all right. A lot of S's today. Go ahead, please, Shyamji. S for
Radhe
Shifali
Radhe,
could also
Shyamji.
raise her hand. Is she still around? You can't raise down, okay? So if you have wanted to ask, please feel free to, and let's quickly wrap up then. I know it's getting late, and Pallavi, we always stretch you. I don't feel good at the end of it. So
thank you for sharing my emotions. On the lighter note, do we always take a flight on the last journey? Why can't we take a Belgaudi or a train so that it's easy for us? Just on the lighter note.
Okay. Yeah, it actually ends up becoming a Balgadi more often than not, because Yamdut usually doesn't have very sophisticated things, okay? And it's only when we get the, what do you call that, Vishnuduts come in Pushpak Viman that we get a flight. Otherwise, Yamdut has a very nice way, you know how appealing the Doots are, Yamduts are, and you know how they take you in Balgadi only. They don't give you royalty.
I know the last journey is very, very tough, very troublesome. As we have read in Garuda Puran, it's a very tough journey for the last journey. So
but you will forget it.
Unlike a flight, it's not a flight journey.
We don't have to worry about it. See, it is said that God realization, if you have to do, you cannot do it at your end moment. In this life, when you are in your senses, that's when you complete God realization. Okay, and when that happens, then you can willfully leave your body at the time of death, because you are videh at that point. But if you're thinking we can do it at the time of our death, not going to happen. And like Keshavji was saying, at the time of death, it's just like if you open up a floodgate somewhere, which one will come running the fastest? Let's say there are a lot of animals inside, and you all of a sudden open up the floodgate. The strongest one will come, the bull amongst them, the biggest one will come the first. Similarly, however we have led our life, the dominant thought, where we have predominantly led our life, right, in the world or in God, that thought is going to persist with us at the time of our death. That is what comes dominantly in our head. It's not easy to think about God. So God realization is a thing that cannot happen at death. It can happen only when you are in senses prior to death. And death is a 2-step process. First you fall unconscious, then you die. And nobody dies peacefully. Like in India, they say, right? The statement, when you go, somebody passes away, they say, right? You know, he came, he had food, water, and then, you know, silently he went away. No, it's not silently. Okay, it's a 2-step process. First you fall unconscious, and then you leave these airs. Okay, can we take, or we want to wrap up? Because
yeah, we can quickly take a couple
Quickly,
two
real
more
quick.
hands. Yeah.
Sure.
Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I would like to add one more point, like what celestial material rewards we get on doing this karma kand. When you get it, it gets exhausted. Like you get the swarg. After that, in that karma, whatever you did, you got the phal and it got finished. But bhakti, it will never get finished. It will keep on increasing and increasing.
Yes.
Thank you, Radhe.
Very true. Very true. You exhaust that. It's a withdrawal only account that you get. Beautiful point, Swati ji. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Asha ji has mentioned S for spiritual seekers also.
Spiritual seekers. So you have S2 now. Superb. Another S.
Yes. Kumarji, Radhe Radhe, please.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah. Yeah, as I was hearing so many opinions, I just thought I will let mine known as well, because I had a recent discussion with one of my neighbors who was a Catholic priest of a church. He's now retired, of course. So one is, of course, even logically looking, I try to look things logically. Now, spiritual things, you cannot always look logical or with our materialistic mind, but sometimes I try to do that, right? So if you see, obviously we know material, you cannot take it. Obviously you're gone, you cannot handle anything, you don't have a body, right? But then what happens, when if you see the people in the world, there's some people who are born into very good families, very good things, and luxurious, whatever, rich families and all those things. While some are born in families where they struggle for food. And I always think, why such a big difference, right? And this, I think, is karma phal. So that's where I think the spiritual takes deep root, right? What else could be the reason? I don't think there could be any other reason that you carry forward your pap, punya, and all the karma, and that's why you are in such a stage. And that's why, that's more the reason why we need to concentrate on this spiritual path and progress. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
That's the only plausible reason. Okay, and it's all karam phal, nothing else. All right. I think we can probably take one more hand and then wrap it up. I know it's late for you, Pallavi ji, so maybe one more hand.
Ruti ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Pallavi ji, Radhe Radhe, Mithil. So I actually sent the message, so that's why I lowered my hand. So it is other than sanskar, our gun and emotional trauma and our karma. That's, I think, we take with us. If we don't sort out the things like anger or our victim mentality, we take that with us, and that becomes a transgenerational trauma, basically. So yeah, and one thing I had to ask you, so wherever I have read about past life regression in books or somewhere, I have seen that people have, all of us, like not I haven't done the past life regressions, but I have read that everyone has taken a birth in Egypt. So they were very spiritual people, like when they used to practice that. Egypt. So they were very spiritual people. So if we don't take anything with us in the next life, then why did they, put them, they did mummification and then they packed all the gold and the stuff with them? I'm just wondering why they did.
Okay, why do they
had so much knowledge? Yeah.
Packed gold and all that stuff with mummies?
Yeah.
Ignorance. That's all I can tell you. Ignorance.
But if they were so spiritual, like,
it doesn't matter. Spiritual does not mean you have the correct knowledge, most correct knowledge, right? So when you go to Vedas, that's where you get the knowledge, right? If somebody's knowledge says that if you pack mummies with gold coins, they can carry it with their afterlife time, then all the billionaires, millionaires would be doing the same, right, with them. So it's pure ignorance, nothing else. Just because somebody is spiritual, or at least on the exterior looks spiritual, does not mean they have the access to the most perfect knowledge. So it's ignorance, nothing else. If that was the case, then we will always wear something with deep pockets, because we never know when we are going to exit from this world. But nothing like that. It is pure ignorance, nothing else. Our scriptures tell us, right, very clearly, we can't take anything. So Egyptians were not smarter than what our scriptures tell us, for sure.
No, that's true. But then why do our gods wear all this jewelry, all this gold? They are always so dressed up. Why do they? Why are they so like full of gold?
I think if any person should wear that, it should be God only. Okay, he
No,
deserves
but
it. He's smart.
but
He's cool. He's rich. He can do that. He can afford that too. We are fools, and when we do that stuff, basically. Okay. So God, if you
but
look at
doesn't that tell us to accumulate it because gods have it?
so we look at God, we don't copy God. Okay. So if you have to wear gold, first of all, you need to have the ability to drink poison like Shiva. You need to have ability to lift Govardhan like Krishna did. You need to have ability to kill demons just by doing like that. If you can do all that, then copy God. So you're not supposed to copy God. We are supposed to learn from his pastimes and imbibe those things until we become godlike. And God, if you look at Krishna, he would not wear big things. He would simply put a peacock feather, right? So God doesn't have to, but then it's an occupational hazard of being a god, right? When he descends, if he's a king and then he starts roaming around in a dhoti, that will not look nice, right? But he's not attached to jewels as such. Let's put it that way. He's the ragi from inside. He's the biggest renunciate. And I would say if anybody deserves to wear jewels, it's God only. Nobody, none of us basically. Because costume muni, and then those jewels are not ordinary jewels. They are Rasik saints who have taken on that seva. The costume money that he wears, right? That might be a saint who has taken on his seva to glorify God or to be close to him, asked for that boon. Those are not ordinary abhushan's like we wear. They are sevas. The ghungrus that Radharani Pajebs she wears, the sound it makes is a seva for that saint. So they are not ordinary jewels that God wears. His flute was a hip Vanshrai. He took an avatar for that. His Sudarshan Chakra came as, I think, Nimbarkacharya or Madhvacharya as a guru. So they are not ordinary. They are all sentient beings. So let's not equate our jewels to God's jewels. It would be a seva a saint has taken. And they are sentient. Deeper concept, but that is how it is. Straight out of sci-fi movie, right? But this is how it is. Our scriptures explain us. Okay, are we good then? Radhe Radhe. Shruti.
Thank you, Saritaji. I saw Joanne's hand raised as well. Can we quickly take Padmaji?
Sure, Padmaji.
Yeah, Padmaji, if you have something quick to say.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to say is this we can experience when you're on the spiritual path. Like many times our conditioned mind say, let me just understand everything, and then once all my doubts are clear, then I would start putting things into practice, to develop bhakti for whatever it means, S1, S2, S3, S4, S100s. But that is exactly where one has to reverse their process, that you actually start practicing whatever the way that you can practice, whether it is seva, whether it's sadhana, whether it is whatever the way you start practicing, that actually will take your conflicts and confusions and ignorance and everything. That is how it is designed to actually put it in practice, and it actually reverses your confusion and doubts and fears and comparisons and everything that we want answers to. Answers will come when you actually reverse the process of not waiting. All my doubts would be cleared, and then I would practice bhakti. Start practicing bhakti, and that will actually do whatever is necessary for you to actually you're seeking in the spiritual path. Just wanted to share that.
Oh, beautiful point. So we don't need to have all of our doubts cleared. Very true. If we have understood this much, let's implement that, and the next thing will come in due course of time. Beautiful point, Padmaji. Let's do our closing prayers. I know we are way over time, like we always do. By the way, the session ends 10 o'clock officially, so you're free to. I stick around because I have absolutely nothing else to do in life. So, but officially it ends at 10. So we'll try to stick to that as best as possible, but it's good actually.
You won't believe, Nitinji, people are still joining. People are continuously joining.
That's good.
I'm seeing still 5 minutes ago also people have been joining.
So it's good to spend those additional 30 minutes every day, which is good. But I want to honor your time because I know it gets late for you. But yeah, this discussion after the session discussion, because 30-40 minutes I keep on speaking, right? Maybe I need to limit that. This is good actually. This adds a lot of value, after discussion that we have. So let's quickly do our closing prayers. I think today's Payalji's turn, but Surendraji has already trumped her. So let's see who wants to recite it.
Oh, Payalji is here. Okay. Please go ahead. Both of you.
Both of you can go there. That's fine.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Full day, stay blessed, and have a great rest of your evening. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Nitinji, for all the awesome sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Have a very blessed day and blessed night. Thank you.
And happy birthday in advance, Shyamji. We'll keep wishing you until you hit your birthday now. Have a good day. Bye.